I wanna ask you something. Who do you think are the best written characters in Genshin? I think the characters in Genshin can be split into two categories. The first category being characters that receive a lot of screen time and development, the important characters like the Archons and Harbingers. But we also have a second category of characters who have really rich stories, but they're buried inside layers and layers of text, and most casual players who don't dig into these layers will never understand their stories. Characters like Kinich, Riotsly, Diluc, Kave, and Senora, that still hurts. But then we have one character who breaks both of these categories and transcends them, Wanderer. We have seen him grow from a cynical terrorist to a noble defender. Throughout our journey, we have seen so many versions of him. We have felt his pain. We have seen him gain his victories only for them to be snatched away. We have seen his struggles in rediscovering who he is, putting all the broken pieces back together. He is undoubtedly Genshin's most dynamic character, and the way his story is written and more importantly executed makes him the best written character in Genshin to me right now, even though I like Furina a lot more. Simulacra is what cemented this for me. They could have gone the easy way out and just made Traveler the chosen one, but they went the extra mile and made Wanderer the chosen one, and this cemented to me that they have really good plans on where they want to take this character moving forward. But they went even a step further and made him the protector, guardian, and more importantly a mirror to one of the most dangerous monsters in Genshin's history. A monster that we've known existed from the first day that Genshin released, Durin. And after the recent Not Cry trailer, looking at the tone, the subtext, and Durin himself, I'm really excited and scared to see where they're gonna take Wanderer and Durin moving forward, because it's brimming with potential. Both of their stories mirror each other perfectly, in a way that strongly catalyzes both of their growths. And it goes a lot deeper than you think. In this video, I'll be taking you through all the parallels they share and tell you why I think Durin has the potential to be the best written character in Genshin. Both Scaramouche and Durin are characters that were abandoned by their mothers. Durin was a creation of the legendary alchemist Rhinedottir, and Scaramouche was the son of the god empress of lightning herself, Raiden Ei. In both of their cases, their mothers were literal gods, and the abandonment wasn't really intentional. Scaramouche and Durin spend the early portion of their lives trying to gain their mother's affection or validation back. Anders' daughter had told Simulacra Durin that when she leaves or passes away, she can find him in the stars. And Simulacra Durin did just that. Once she left, he spent the rest of his life trying to collect the stars, which perfectly mirrors Scaramouche spending all of his life trying to collect the Electro-Gnosis, the reason he was born.
Anything but the Gnosis!
But in this pursuit, they ended up causing a lot of death and destruction. Also, Simulacra Durin and Wanderer both had the same answer for the one wish they would truly want, which is, I wish I was never born.
I wish I'd never been born at all.
Which is also a Bohemian Rhapsody reference, because of course it is. Both of their pursuits were put on a hard stop when they were slain by a god. Durin was killed by Venti, and Scaramouche was defeated by Nahida. Here, I would like to take a pause to talk about the alchemical process called Magnum Opus. I'm sure all of you have heard of what Philosopher's Stone is. It's a mythical substance that's able to transform or transmute lead into gold. And the goal of alchemy, the ultimate goal, is to discover or create this Philosopher's Stone. The process of this has 4 stages: Nigredo, Albedo, Citrinitas, and Rubedo. And these 4 stages are literal stages in the creation of the Philosopher's Stone, but they're also a metaphor for a spiritual journey. Cultures all across the world have had a term for this kind of growth. Essentially, it's ego death. Greek cultures called this melancholia, divine genius, born from divine madness. In Vedic cultures, it was called Kundalini Shakti awakening, which is uncoiling of the serpent of energy at the base of your spine. In Sufism, it was called Fana, the annihilation of the parts of you that aren't really you, to make room for the you who truly is yourself. Even Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, has a term for this. He calls it individuation in the dark night of the soul. These 4 stages in this spiritual journey represent different phases. Nigredo is the blackening phase where you burn down all the parts of you that aren't really you. Albedo is the whitening stage where you integrate yourself with the purest forms of who you are. Citrinitas is the goldening stage where you understand your true potential and find purpose. And Rubedo is the completion of this process, the reddening stage where you achieve integration, understanding, and enlightenment with all of who you are. The death of Scaramouche and Durin at the hands of Nahida and Venti symbolizes the Nigredo process. They are burning down the old versions of themselves. In Scaramouche, it's a literal death on top of an ego death, because he literally lets go of his old name, Scaramouche. He's called Wanderer now. That life is over. And in Durin's case, it's a little more complicated since Durin literally died, but mini Durin is replacing him, integrating with the old parts of him. And this process is ego death. It is meant to hurt a lot, because all the parts of you that you have clinged to yourself your whole life, the parts you thought were yourself, are removed. It's not really removed, you have to let go of it. And the slaying of them by these gods symbolizes the Nigredo process. But even beyond that, Durin is literally the Nigredo stage itself. When you look at the creations of Rhinedottir, if you parallel them with the 4 stages of the process, we have the blackening stage, which should kind of be the first thing she creates, which is the black dragon Durin. And then Albedo is Albedo. Rhinedottir is gold, which is Citrinitas, which means their final creation, their Magnum Opus, should be something which is red in color to symbolize Rubedo. And coincidentally, what is one of the most dominant colors in Durin's outfit in the Not Cry trailer? Red. He is not just a creation which is isolated from the other stages, but he is connected to all 3 of them. He is the reincarnation, for lack of a better term, of Durin, which is Nigredo. He has his current form because of Albedo's transmutation, and Durin himself was created by Rhinedottir, which is gold. So he is kind of the amalgamation of all 3 of these processes. I think Durin is the Philosopher's Stone itself. I will make a more in-depth video on comparing Durin's inspiration and all the others, Rhinedottir, Albedo, and Scaramouche too, I guess, to the alchemical process in the future. But in this video, I want to talk about the parallels they share. So, moving on, Scaramouche, following his death, literally rejects his name and under Nahida's guidance becomes her Kagemusha. His design also has lotus motifs which symbolizes rebirth. And in Durin's case, the character that fulfills this role of guide or mentor is Scaramouche, or Wanderer with his new name, which indirectly makes him a mentee of Nahida too, which I think is very fitting to have the god of wisdom guide you through a spiritual journey of enlightenment. Nahida's the perfect one for this job. In both of their reborn selves, they are able to see the mistakes of their past and they're striving to be better people. We know this for sure in Wanderer's case, but I'm guessing this is going to be Durin's story arc as well. When they revealed Durin's new design in the Not Cry trailer, I was super excited. I love his new design. It might be one of my favorite designs in Genshin, period. I mean, maroon and black is such a good combination. I love it. But one motif stood out to me the most in his design. The loudest motif being the big heart on his chest. Scaramouche's desire can be oversimplified into one line, the iconic line from Pinocchio saying, "I want to be a real boy."
Am I a real boy?
And Scaramouche's whole pursuit to obtaining the Electro-Gnosis is to gain his heart back, getting a heart to be a real boy. And his constellation depicts this perfectly. It's a doll holding a heart. And this parallels Simulanka Durin's story as well. Other than the whole "I wish I was never born" part, his other desire was that he could be a real boy, that he wasn't someone who would be hated and feared for who he is, that he could be loved. And him having the heart motif that Scaramouche has is again a really beautiful parallel in my opinion. There is something else that I find very interesting in the way they are opposites to each other in this case. In Scaramouche's case, from the time he was born until his ego death, he was in the pursuit of gaining his heart because a heart was something he was missing. But the only remains we saw of Durin from the beginning of the story that was still alive was his heart. Scaramouche had a body without a heart, and Durin had a heart without a body. And look, this is the part where I get really confused and people kind of ask me, am I reading into this too much? But I'm really impressed that a detail like this was added into this game 5 years before it was going to get paid off. And I'm really impressed by the Genshin story team if this was intentional. Durin's heart motif is also encaged, for lack of a better term, with spikes or rods or nails. I wonder what that could symbolize. Next we have again something that I don't think is a coincidence. When you look at the art that introduced Scaramouche and Durin's designs to us, Scaramouche's art in the 1.1 version art and Durin's art from the Not Cry teaser, both of them look the same. They're kind of smaller in the background and facing the right direction. And that alone is cool enough as a detail, but I would like to go further and try to analyze what this means. They're facing the right direction. I think the best way we could do this is by looking at some other images which are very intentionally symbolic. When you look at these images from the TCG, I think is where they are, you can see that all of them are clearly trying to showcase something. Let's start with Zhongli. Zhongli is facing away from Liyue. This symbolizes his retirement from the position of being a god. Nahida is facing forward at Sumeru. This symbolizes her taking up the mantle of the god queen and being the person who guides her people. Raiden is looking to the left side, and this symbolizes clearly her looking back at the past, trying to undo the wrongdoings that she has done and be a better god to her people. And then you have Venti, who is facing the right direction, same as Scaramouche and Durin. Venti's arc so far has been trying to orchestrate a better future. This is pretty clear once you look into it, but over the past 2 or 3 years, every version Venti ends up meeting the god of a different nation. So far he has met Zhongli, Raiden and Novelette. He clearly has a plan for the future, and looking at how he is present in the next version update, I won't be surprised if he's going to end up talking to Maoika as well. So if that's true, facing the right symbolizes something they're looking forward to in the future, or them playing a major role in some future event. And Scaramouche and Durin are both characters who are clearly integral to the part of the story. So I won't be surprised if this is their way of showing that Scaramouche or Wanderer and Durin are going to play major roles in the future. Unfortunately, every character I make a video on seems to have the topic of death flags. The Not Cry trailer, the tone, and the dialogue don't really sit well with me. I'm kind of worried for what's gonna happen with Scaramouche and Durin. Scaramouche going up against Dottore is not a good idea. Even if he isn't going up against Dottore, there are so many other godly characters in Not Cry and things could go really bad really fast. However, I think the unfinished business is a red herring. I don't think it refers to Dottore. I think it refers to something with Durin. I think Scaramouche is in Not Cry because of Durin. Let's see how it goes. The one reason I have hope with this is it looks like Durin and Wanderer, both of them, have divine protection of some sorts. When you look at all the events that transpired to get them to where they are right now, it looks like there were no coincidences. Things have been orchestrated to get them where they are. Divine protection offered by the Hexen Circle, at least. Barbeloth can literally see the future. I get the feeling that in the Hexen Circle's eyes, Durin is like Klee to them, a child of one of their comrades. So I have a feeling that they have a protective instinct towards Durin, but that doesn't really say Wanderer though. And if they were just using Wanderer as a tool to get Durin to where he is and then discard Wanderer, that's extremely tragic, because Wanderer throughout his life has just been used as a tool by people more powerful than him and then discarded. As you can see, the parallels between Durin and Wanderer go really deep. They are basically mirrors of each other story-wise. And since they've done such a good job of writing and executing Scaramouche or Wanderer's story, I have really high expectations and hopes with what they're gonna do with Durin moving forward. I think he has the potential to be the best written character in Genshin. Please don't pull a Natlan 2.0 on us. But I want to end this with a question, some food for thought. Since Durin and Wanderer mirror each other this perfectly, do you think it goes a layer further where their mothers also mirror each other? In Durin's case, his mother wasn't just the legendary alchemist Rhinedottir, she was also Nefarious, the shade of life. And if that's able to mirror Ei, then Raiden isn't just the Electro Archon, she is probably also something else that we don't realize, and probably she doesn't realize either. I think there's a lot of mystery surrounding Raiden's identity and origin. I think the answer to that and the biggest mystery in Inazuma has the same answer. I have a theory on that I've had in my back burner since like 2 or 3 years. Luckily, there hasn't been any revelations about it yet, so I can still publish that theory. Do subscribe so you don't miss out on that theory. I'm sure you would enjoy that. Okay, channel update time. I'm sorry I took this long to publish the second video. You know that thing that happens with life where just everything falls apart all at once and you don't even know which pieces to put back together because everything's falling apart? That kind of happened, still happening. But also Natlan kind of burned me out on Genshin a little bit. But things are better now. Notcry has me excited for what they're gonna do with the story. And I love making videos talking about the theories, ideas and analysis I have. I may be new to YouTube, but I've been writing theories for about 4 years and I have so many ideas that I've not published which are really good and I want to talk about them. You'll find them really interesting. And I'll make sure that I publish one video every 1 or 2 weeks moving forward. I'll just not burn myself out with a very big project. One of the other reasons I got burnt out was in the Mawika video, which you should definitely check out if you haven't. I mentioned that my second video is going to be on Nahida, and I did record that video and it was so in-depth that I just burnt myself out with the video making process itself. There is so much I talk about in that video about Nahida, the design, the story and the details, the mythological references. There is so much care put into that character, and that's pretty much my Magnum Opus, the greatest analysis I have written. I'm really excited to share that. It should be coming out in a few weeks once the editing is done. And I'm really glad it's Nahida because she's such a precious character. But that's all I had to say. You can expect a lot more videos from me moving forward. Please let me know what you thought of this video, what I did right, what I did wrong, what improvements you would like to see. I'm new to this, so any feedback you give me will be really valuable. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you watched the video till the end, I do have a question for you. Which character do you want to see analysis on the most? Let me know in the comments so that I know that you watched the video till the end. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe. Is there anything else? I'm new to YouTube. I don't know. Do whatever you think is going to be supportive for me. And other than doxing me, don't dox me. I might dox myself at some point. But yeah, thank you for watching the video until the end. Have a good day, I guess. Bye.